Good evening, everybody. This is Sam Shihab.
I'm Brian Burke.
And we're here to present to you our weekly presentations. And the topic of discussion today is the July 2001 Visa Bulletin and the very nice and aggressive forward movement for India and China in the EB2 and the EB3 category.
Yeah, we have a presentation we'll start with, and we'll...
like the PowerPoint presentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a quick PowerPoint presentation, give you a quick summary in about 1 or 2 minutes, and then we're going to go and break it down and take questions. What do you think?
I think we should get to it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right. So what has happened is in July of 2021, in June 2021, we had a forward movement of 6 months in the EB2 category from December 1st, 2010 to June 1st, 2011, 6 months forward movement in EB2 India. We also have an EB3 movement of 1 year and 2 months from November 1st, 2011 to January 1st, 2013. Similarly, in China, the other two categories that are substantially backed up in the employment-based visa categories. In the EB2, we had a 7 months forward movement from May 1st, 2017 to December 1st, 2017. And in the EB3 category, we had a movement in 4 months from September 1st, 2018 to January 1st, 2019.
Yeah, and the big question is why? And this is something that's kind of been in the works for a while. Due to COVID-19, U.S. consulates abroad have been largely closed. And due to these closures, less immigrant visas have been issued abroad. And those are typically family-based immigrant visas that are issued abroad. So with some delay, it takes a while to get here. These unused visas get carried over to the employment-based immigration categories like the EB2 and EB3 we were just discussing. And this is movement, this is a big one for July, but this is movement we expect to see continuing into fiscal year 2021, or the next fiscal year, excuse me, which begins in October 2021.
And once they distribute those visa categories to all the countries, and there's still additional visas available, they distribute then the visas into the most backed up or oldest priority date, which in this case in the India EB2 and EB3 category, specifically in the EB2 category and following the EB3 category. But the priority date is an interesting topic in that we want to talk about different scenarios. And if you are in the EB2 categories in India, we kind of broke down the scenarios that are applicable to you in about maybe 10 or 15 different options, and we're going to lay them out for you here. So if your priority date is after June 1st, 2011, which is after the current final action date for India, but before January 1st, 2013, which is the final action date for EB3 India, you have really 4 different options. Now, USCIS has adopted the final action date for filing these adjustment petitions, not the dates for filing. So the dates for filing now to be not looked at closely because USCIS said, well, we're only going to be dealing with the final action dates. So you have option 1, if your priority date between June 1st, 2011 or on or before January 1st, 2013, is the first thing is do nothing and wait, because obviously while you can file in the EB3 category, maybe you want to wait. Maybe your priority date is very close to June 1st, 2011. Maybe it is July or August 2011, and therefore you think it's going to be coming up soon. So you have the option to do nothing.
Yeah. Why risk going to EB, all the work of an EB3 filing when, everything we're hearing is saying the dates are going to keep on moving for EB2.
So if you are the kind of person that is willing to take a little bit of risk, meaning not file, not downgrade, and you want to save some money, you get to do nothing as a possible option. Option 2 is the traditional file adjustment of status with an EB3 I140 downgrade. What's the good thing about this option? What kind of person would do this option? The person who wants predictability and money is secondary, and say, listen, priority date is open for EB3. I'm going to downgrade. I'm going to go ahead and file and not worry about it. Now, if you are the kind of guy that wants to hedge your bets, you want to you're keeping an eye on the EB2 category, but also keeping an eye on the EB3 category. You're not sure which way to go. You may want to right now file an I-140 downgrade only. That's option 3, and wait and sit back and wait and not commit your adjustment of status. And then option 4, if you're the kind of guy that wants to balance risks and rewards, you want to be ready to file the I-485 in either category. Let's say maybe you're thinking that your EB2 is coming up soon, but not yet, not willing to commit 100% for the I-485. You could prepare the I-485 and hold. By preparing the I-485 and holding, and maybe see what's the next Visa Bulletin is going to reveal, you can decide to downgrade and file the I-485 with an I-140 EB3, or maybe your priority date in the EB2 category will become current next month, and be able to file in the EB2 category. Now, keep in mind that the EB2 category has been moving an average of 4 months every Visa Bulletin. So you can, based on this average, you can probably project, but not predict what's going to happen next, and make some decisions accordingly.
Yeah, I want to add that you can't hold your I-40 and I-45 filing indefinitely, though, because USCIS does change its forms occasionally. And right before this presentation, I jumped on their website, and just to make sure they didn't make any silly announcements, no new I-45 form coming yet. The last version was issued in March 2021, so it means, I don't expect to see one anytime soon. They announced it beforehand, so if you have to make a decision, unless you want to redraft your entire I-45 application.
And also, the information can be stale.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people live stable lives, but if you have to move around a lot for your job, so suddenly you're shifting everything downward on your I-45 form, it could be a bit of a headache.
Yeah. What other scenarios do we have, Brian?
Well, we have the that's for that same time frame for your priority date is after June 1st, 2011, or to on or before January 1st, 2013. And you're in the EB2 category, and you already filed your I-45. So odds are you took care of it, last October, when everything sort of shifted ahead. The dates for filing shifted ahead quite a bit. So what do? Option number 1 is, do nothing. Wait until that EB2 priority date becomes current. And, when the priority date becomes current, they'll work on your I-45, and there you go. Option number 2 is you can file an I-140 EB3 downgrade and a new I-485. One of the things that we discussed is that USCIS, though they don't love it because they like saving themselves the work, they're happy to take a second I-485 for you based upon a different I-140. And that's, your money is no object. It's attach yourself to two I-485s like a bunch of ponies, and let them race one another, and let whatever one takes you to the finish line get there first. Option number 3, it's file an I-140 EB3 downgrade and interfile. So it's essentially you get to take your interfiling as a topic we hit. What did we talk about it, Sam? 2 weeks ago, was it, or 1 week ago?
About a week ago.
A week ago. Essentially transferring your I-45 from your I-140 EB2 to the EB3 I-140, and that is something you can do. The question I always wonder about that is, if your I-140 EB2 priority date's close to current, but your you would be current in EB3. The question I always ask myself is, how long it's going to take for USCIS to process that interfiling request versus how long is this going to take my priority date to become current? Because one of the things we talked about with regards to interfiling last week was interfiling is a great big question mark. You don't get receipt notices, you don't get processing times, you don't know how long it'll take.
And it's my least favorite option of all of them, personally.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to a lot of people about this. Lord knows you do too. And it's, you might want to consider the doing nothing if you're the sort who's,
Right.
jumping categories.
And there's no, I mean, obviously every case is different, and these are general guidelines. What else do we got? All right, so if you're in the EB2 category from India, and your priority date is after January 1st, 2013, obviously that's the date after the visa availability for EB3 in the final action date, which means really there is not a whole lot you can do. But what are your options? You know, you're getting close. So option number one is do nothing and wait. Prudent, conservative, don't do anything crazy. Keep an eye on it and just keep going. What other options do you have? Well, you can prepare the I-485 in anticipation of filing EB3 and hold. If you are the kind of guy that wants to get ready and beat the rush, you can do that in anticipation. Obviously, EB2, like we said, has been moving 4 months every visa bulletin in the last 5 months. EB3 has been moving about 7 months every month, every visa bulletin in the last 5 months. So based on that recent history, you can say, well, you know, nothing's going to happen. My priority date is too far into the away from the being available. Well, just do nothing. But if you believe that your priority is going to be close, option number 2 is a good option for you. Option number 3 is you can go ahead and file an I-140 downgrade now. You just file an I-140 downgrade and let it run. You're not committing your I-485. You cannot commit your I-485. It's not current. But by filing the I-140 early, it's going to take a while for that I-140 to be processed and approved. And by filing it now, it gives you a head start when you have to file your I-485.
Yeah, depending on processing. I mean, service centers, I think it's like 5 to 8 months to get an I-140 approval right now.
Yeah. So that's a good option. Option number 4, which kind of a combination of 2 and 3, get ahead of the game and beat the rush. File the I-140 downgrade and prepare the I-485 and hold. I mean, these are the options we're laying out based on what you want to do. Obviously, option number 1, do nothing, is an excellent option. Option 4 is for somebody who is anxious, willing to invest a little bit of money ahead in the process and saying, you know, I'm going to go ahead and file the I-140 downgrade. I'm going to go ahead and prepare the I-485 and hold. I think the EB3 category is going to come soon. In my priority date, I'm going to downgrade and move forward, but I want to get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
All right. So other scenarios quickly here.
Yes, sir. Well, and then there's the priority date after January 1st, 2013, and you are a person who had an EB2 I-140 approval, and then you downgraded to EB3 and filed with an I-140, and that EB3 I-140 is still pending. This is one I'm getting tons of questions about. And, you know, option number 1 is the classic, do nothing. You know, they will get to your I-140 eventually. They're moving slow. Those downgrades, you know, they had to go back in their files, dust off your old labor certification to get them in order to add it to the EB3 filing. So it does take them some time, but, you know, they'll get to it eventually. Option number 2, you know, upgrade your I-140 to premium processing. Of course, requires the approval of your employer, but there's one caveat at that. It's, do you have children? We are thinking about the Child Status Protection Act. If you have older kids who may be, quote unquote, aging out. Well, Sam, what is aging out?
Over 21 years of age is aging out, but you have to subtract the I-140 processing time. And if you subtract the I-140 processing time, that's wonderful because it gives you more credit. But if you upgrade to premium processing, you shorten that time, and you push your child to age out quicker, which can be counterproductive. So you want to look at that scenario before you upgrade to premium processing. When
we say age out, it's your children are only eligible to immigrate through you as children until they reach the age of 21, with this exception for the Child Status Protection Act.
Yes.
And option number 3 is, you know, so if you have no kids to worry about, premium processing, sure. Don't have to worry about the Child Status Protection Act. Upgrade your case to premium processing. Make yourself happy. Feel good.
Yep.
There you go. Option number 3 is, if you have those kids, do that CSPA analysis before upgrading to premium processing, because if you accelerate the approval period, the approval time of your I-140, you may be robbing your kids. That sounds so mean, but of the ability to get a green card through you.
Yep. Did we go through the scenarios?
I think we went through the scenarios.
If you are from China, we have an identical scenario that's built in, and you email it to me. Do you have our email address, Brian?
Well, I'm going to make us prominent again. We're going to turn off that PowerPoint for a minute, and then we're going to add ourselves right here on the bottom with email addresses and everything.
Yeah, and you can send me an email. I'll send you the analysis for China for your information. Happy to do that. Get a couple questions from people, so let's go ahead and go to questions.
We have a lot. I mean, we've been getting tons of questions for these, and accordingly, we've allocated a bunch of time for questions.
Yes. So let's do it. So what do we got here?
Well, first in line, like priority dates, somebody got their question in first, and they get their answer first.
Yes.
I got to think we got to say our, when we're answering these questions, everybody's case is different, and we don't know your exact personal details. Yeah. So this is, take this information with that it is in general.
Yeah, absolutely. So consult with your attorney. That gives you guidelines, and we're happy to give you the assistance, the consultation, whether through your counsel. If you're with us in our office, we're happy to provide you with a consultation on the specific scenarios. And we've been answering a lot of questions on the phone, and happy to do that.
Yeah.
So how long does it take after date becomes current to get the green card? That's a great question. As a matter of fact, I was talking to a client today.
I want to hear your take on this, because I've been having these conversations a lot too.
Yeah, and they were talking about, priority, we were talking about EB5, completely unrelated. And they said, well, priority date is current. And I just told him, processing time for India is over 24 months for EB5. And they said, well, but it's current. So there are two different spheres. Is the sphere of visa availability and the sphere of ability to process the paperwork.
You're talking about the immigrant petition versus yeah.
So if it becomes current and your application is updated and fresh, it takes very little time. But if the visa becomes current and your adjustment of status is stale, is old, and the medicals are old, and then you're going to get an RFE. And then once you get the RFE, typically when you respond to the RFE, we've seen approvals in 30 days to 60 days, right?
Yeah. I mean, filing your adjustment of status in I-140 as soon as your priority date becomes current, final action date becomes current, it takes some time to process the case. As we mentioned earlier, I-140 has processing time of 5 to 8 months. I know with one of the service centers, it might be longer with one of the other ones. Then the I-45 has processing times. Those depend upon the individual field office that's going to process it, depending upon if they're going to pull it. I mean, it ultimately depends on where your I-45 is at. If you go to the USCIS website, they will ask what field office is processing your I-45 case. And there's one for pretty much, a couple of field offices in every state.
But if the officer opens the file, and the I-140 is approved, and everything in the forms is up to date, the medical is available, the approval is the same day. All what they have to do is go claim a number, which is they go to a different computer system, and they click it, they take a number out, and then they process your approval on the spot, and you get your green card. What
I tell people is, USCIS is a bit of a black box, and we don't know where your case is, but here's what I can tell you. Your I-140 priority date, your I-140 needs to be approved in order for them to approve your adjustment of status. If your I-140 is approved, your adjustment of status is pending, and your priority date is current, it's just a matter of time.
Excellent. Next question. Hi, my I-140 downgrade from EB2 to EB3 with the received date of October 2020 is still in processing. Any idea how long it will take?
So anybody who doesn't know, I mean, USCIS, if you go to their website, they publish their quote unquote normal processing times for any type of case. And that's really it. All you got to do is know the service center where your case is pending. If you don't know that, all you need to know is your receipt number for the case. And most of these things end up in the Nebraska Service Center or Texas Service Center. Nebraska cases begin with LIN. Texas Service Center begins with SRC. And they will tell you what the standard processing time is for a case.
6 months to 8 months, plus or minus 60 days. And a lot of time we see it a little quicker, so a lot of time, I mean, there's really no, and then we get the COVID overlay, so it's very difficult to answer that question on the timeline.
Yeah.
But it's a very important question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, servicing.
Yeah.
I mean, service inquiries on them is obviously one option.
Can I shift my employer by filing I-485 Supplement J when my downgrade I-140 is still pending? Will attorney help in filing medicals once I get RFE? Will attorney help? Well, the second part is the easy part. Of course, the attorney will help.
Yeah, any attorney's happy to help you with that. Yeah.
Now let's talk about the Supplement J and talk about the downgrade and the I-140. When you enter file, what happened? The clock resets.
Yeah.
Right? You have so the 180 days after the 485 filing start counting again.
Yeah.
So it is tricky, and you just need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
So yes, eventually yes, but not on the short, not quick. So probably need to talk to your attorney to make sure that the timing is right. Can it be done? Yes. Can it be done right away? No. We need to look at the timing issues.
Yeah.
So here's the key that you need to know. If you enter file, okay, the 180-day clock resets, and because of that, on the I-485, so you have to pass 180 days, and the I-140 has to be approved. If the I-140 is not approved and you went Supplement J, the first employer can withdraw that I-140 for you and cause a denial of your I-485.
Yeah.
So that's very tricky. So you need to be careful. But that's an excellent question. And those are the kind of questions we want to see, because these are the tricky questions that people sometimes don't think about. All right, so let's see here if we can go into a different question.
I remember that name. That's somebody who likes to tune in and watch us. Hello.
All right.
So the question is here, how can we know the status of the service request? My employer raised a request, but they're saying they're waiting on a response when USCIS says response is provided.
Yeah.
You know, I'm inclined to believe your employer here, because I've put in service inquiries all the time, and USCIS has not been doing a great job of responding to them lately. I have somebody in my inbox now who's asking me for a status of their service request. They said a response would been due, I think, sometime over the weekend. And I searched our service request inbox, and there's not a response from USCIS.
Yeah. So believe your employer. It is very unique time right now. Obviously, there's confusion. The new administration trying to clean that up, but it's going to take a little bit of time to do it. Yes. All right. So my priority date is January 2012 in EB2. Okay, good. Filed I-140 downgrade in October 2020 to EB3. Do you recommend requesting I-140 premium? Well, it's one of the scenarios we discussed.
Yeah, we can get into it a little bit more, yeah.
Yeah. So first of all, do you have a child who is about to age out? Because that's going to be very important to make sure that the premium processing upgrade is not going to shorten that time credit that your child will be receiving before they age out. So taking this layer off and removing it and not talking about that issue, let's assume you don't have any children, then filing a premium processing downgrade will not hurt your case. It definitely will put you in a good position to get your case moving forward in the right direction.
Yeah, and it's a good idea. I mean, January 2012 in EB3, double checking my chart here, is final action date current. I mean, that's something I tell people. That I-140 needs to be approved for them to approve your adjustment. So it's an idea for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Do I need to wait to get ready for submitting medicals? Well, I need to know a little bit more, but let's add to that question. Yeah. Okay, let's add. My priority date is current. Do I need to get ready for medicals? So we have we've kind of identified the type of people, right? The conservative, the risk taker, the people that want to hedge their bets, and so forth. So it depends on you now, because the visa the medical has to be filed within
60 days has to be received by USCIS and 60 days from signature,
and valid for
2 years. Those are the big rules for medical.
So remember that. So unless there is an RFE, within the next 60 days, you may be wasting your money on the medical, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the big rule for medicals is what they say in their policy is that we will take your medicals, obviously, at the time of filing your adjustment, or in response to an RFE, or at the time of your interview. And USCIS is a very procedural sort of agency, and those are the times generally when they accept things.
Risk taker, throw in a premium processing upgrade, and throw in the medical with it, and see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money on the medical, but if they have the medical and they receive it, and it's in the file, it may accelerate the approval.
Yeah, and having that perfect clean case that's ready to go, somebody can go, oh, RFE, oh no, I have the medical exams right here because some nice person sent them in early.
And that's perfect.
Yeah.
So
it's just, as long as you understand that, I mean, as long as you understand that risk, that USCIS might send these back and tell you, I'm sorry, we won't take these right now.
And it's really not the end of the world that's my personal feeling, if you file that medical and you took a chance to get this green card early and get that file ready, and let's say they come back and say, no, get another medical. And now if you're the kind of person to say, oh my God, $200 is a lot of money to do another medical, then don't do it. Yeah. But if you're the kind of guy that says, you know what, I don't care, $250 if I do it again, for the chance of getting that green card without an RFE, few months earlier, this is really important to me to take that kind of chance. So risk rewards, you have to decide. So there's no perfect answer to a lot of these questions. It's really about the kind of person you are. And this is the key thing, is just like the attorney is not going to tell you do it or don't do it, because it really depends on, there's really no perfect, I mean, sometimes there's a perfectly wrong answer and perfectly correct answer.
Yeah.
A lot of those questions deal with your personality and the amount of risk you want to take and the value of money versus getting opportunity to get things quicker.
I've run through these scenarios with people on the phone, and the conversation usually ends with, there's no right or wrong answer to these, and if you never know, if you'll get your green card eventually, no matter what.
But I'll tell you what I would do if I'm applying for a green card, but that's what I would do.
Okay.
I would throw in the premium processing upgrade and throw in the medicals and take a chance. But that's my personality, because for me, to get that green card 4 months earlier and just get out of that headache of the process for a risk of $250, for me, that's worth it to me, but that may not be worth it to everybody.
We always talk about, I mean, they're going to send your medical exams back and your money, but also, you are dealing with on the other end, there's a doctor's office that's done this. All you got to do, you never know. You might be able to call them back when they do. If they send them back to you, you may be able to call them back when they do request and say, "Hey, friend, you gave me these medical exams, 61 days ago. I need them again. Can you? You might have an easier. I am not a medical doctor.
What would you do? Would you? Would you put the $200 and file, or you would wait?
So
I'm kind of, I guess, the risk reward kind of a guy.
I am thrifty, but I'm also nervous. So I like to think that I would just sit back and say, "Oh, I'll get my green card eventually." But no.
You'll pay the money?
I would be going down all guns blazing. I'd be the sort of guy, Sam, and say, "You're telling me I can file an adjustment of status versus on both my I-140s?" I'd be doing that.
You'll be filing both adjustments. I would do that too, but a lot of people don't think that way.
Yeah.
Because the government has been pushing people away from that, because they do. But now they're more money. I mean, they're probably changing their tunes.
As an immigration attorney, I hear the anxieties of everybody listening here about getting my green card approved as fast as possible, and those things sort of weigh on me. I think I absorb all that, and I think what would be the fastest way to get through this, because it's stressful, especially knowing you're at the end of the road and just wanting to get there.
I'd file both adjustment, pay the money. But that's my personal feeling, the way I would do it. But let's take another question. G28 is rejected. That's how sad is this? This is horrible. In my I-140 downgrade petition, probably not rejected, probably lost.
Yeah.
So USCIS.
Either we have psychic powers, or I do at least, or we've seen this happen about a
million times over. Yeah. It's just like, we don't have a G28 in the case. How can you not have a G28?
Okay, well, no, okay, maybe like once every 2 months. Do we see it, something like that?
We see that. So G28 is rejected in my I-140 downgrade petition. Case status filed in October, prior to date February 13, 2014. So it's not available now. So it's that's fine. Employer says it's fine, and we get receipt and it's filed by them. So No need for G28. Try premium thus. Number one, you do need a G28, so you can file a G28 now.
With the well, I mean, it sounds like premium processing. If you're trying for premium processing, that's an opportunity. If you try to send USCIS just a regular G28 in the mail by itself anymore, odds are they're going to send it back, in my experience. But premium processing, you send them checks and a G28 and a premium processing form, they'll take it.
Yeah,
absolutely. No problem. There's no requirement to have an attorney on the case.
But your employer is correct in that really nothing has happened. No harm is done.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that you should be 100% careful with. If the employer changed their location, changed their address, they need to file an AR11, right, online, and they need to update that address. So you got to just keep a close eye on it.
As an attorney, that's what stresses me out about not having G28 on file, because if anybody doesn't know, anytime if you have an attorney looking for your case, anytime USCIS sends a notice, one copy goes to the for an I-140, one copy goes to the petitioner, the employer, and one copy goes to the attorney. And that's just more opportunities to check in and, oh, somebody didn't get the RFE? The other person did, Two sets of eyes on it.
Yep. Is my spouse allowed to use her green card EAD? And I like everybody to use AUG EAD. Green card EAD confuses me, but it's okay. I understand what you're saying, but AUG EAD for me is make more sense. But green card, I understand it.
Interim benefit interim green card EAD.
No, something easy. Well, like GC EAD is very easy.
I'm not easy.
No, AUG EAD, but I understand green card EAD. USCIS says her H4 EAD application is lost, and we're asking her to apply. I would file, absolutely. I would use the adjustment status upon authorization document, because really there's absolutely no that's very benign. I mean, yes, she steps out of the H4 status into this interim status, which is pending adjustment, which is not a big deal at all. She gets to continue employment. And there's really I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Mr.
Super Conservative, because that's the way I'm programmed. And there's the benefit is you have, H4 keeps you in status, adjustment keeps you here.
But this is the scenario.
Yeah,
this is the kind of scenario you do both, because when one falls apart, you pick up the other one. So use it, right?
What's really intriguing me about the scenario is the H4 EAD application was lost, and they're asking her to reapply. I mean, occasionally USCIS says they receive something, then they lose the entire file and ask for a new set of forms. That's a very funny scenario for the record. But I mean that's kind of the intriguing part of that is if they reject the case. I mean, I don't know exactly what they mean by H4 EAD, the EAD application. I understand. No, that one's
absolutely. The spouse can use the EAD with the adjustment status EAD. That's why you do both of them. So when something goes wrong with the one, you use the other one. Yes, absolutely. Let's see what Raj has for us here. Click on the right one. All right. If we send medicals now before RFE, what are the chances of getting lost and USCIS requesting again? High. If you send it just send it like this, probably high. But if you send it with a premium processing upgrade, you have a better chance of it making it to the file. That's in my opinion. If you send it right now, it's probably it's basically a shot in the dark.
I think my personal best scenario is with a supplement J for I-45. If you have a change of position, that's something that has to go in your I-45 file. You attach the medical exams with that. You might sneak it in there.
But you will definitely get it in there because it's part of the supplement J file. Yeah. If you mail it, I mean, what are the chances? You have a pretty good chance. I'm not going to say don't do it. I'm just saying you got a pretty good chance you're going to be probably not make it to the file because there's just no form in it. USCIS talks in forms. If you're not speaking, that's why I always get nervous about interfiling. But if you send it and you're willing to take the chance, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is. It's quite high. All right, so.
We temporarily ran through our questions.
We ran through our questions, which is I'm very happy to do that. One of the things that people get nervous about is trying to predict the process, trying to worry about am I downgrading? The downgrading and then the interfiling is a very nervous thing for them. And I tell people, listen, a lot of these options are options that you can do. It's not something that one is better than the other, and it's about personalities and tendencies. And if your personality is such that you want to take risk, do the medical, file the medical.
I rescind that. It turns out we have a ton of questions. Somehow we scrolled past a couple of them, so we might have to.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we may have. Let's see. I don't know if I'm. Well, that's a pretty good question, I think.
Okay, go ahead.
That's the one that comes up.
Why don't you read it out?
So this is from Raj. I filed my EB3 downgrade and I-140 is not approved yet, and hoping next month will be current. And my I-140 is not yet approved until the next Visa Bulletin, and so it's more of if my I-140 is not yet approved till the next Visa Bulletin and the dates retrogress, what are my options? Well, at the highest level, Sam, what do you think of retrogression at this point?
So we're told that there will be no retrogression this year. Some of the experts are saying that EB3 India will be current by October, which is very possible. So I don't see, nobody can predict, but based on everything we see, it is not likely that we're going to see retrogression this year for India in any category.
Yeah, and you know, if on the unlikely chance that retrogression happens, what happens? They hold your, they'll keep on processing your I-140 if it's not approved. I-140 not approved, and they'll hold your I-45 in abeyance. And when your priority date becomes current, well, hopefully by the time your priority date becomes current, your I-140 will be approved, and they'll process your adjustment.
And you continue getting your EADs, advanced parole, renewed.
There are people, retrogression from 2007, where they made everybody current. There are people who's had their stinks, but pending green cards for about a decade.
Yes. And
they got the benefit of interim EADs and I-131 advanced paroles for about a decade.
Yes.
Yeah. So, obviously you'd like to have a green card, but they don't kill your I-45 case just because retrogression occurs.
Precisely. All right. So, hello, Sam. Thank you for the webinar for EB green card community. As we see very aggressive movement in EB2 EB3 India, correct? My priority date is 2015 EB2. Is it the right time to downgrade to EB3 and get ready with the ready with I-45 application? 2015 is way out. Because 2011 and 2013. Right now, January 1st, 2013 is EB3.
That's about 2.5 years off of EB3 current.
Yes, but if the infinite wisdom that we're hearing is that
Our Lord and Savior Charles Oppenheimer.
I don't think he did predict that. Yeah, he did not predict that it's going to be current. Other people were saying it's going to be current. There's a lot of talk out there that it's going to be current by October.
Yeah.
But obviously, you're not ready for your I-485, but you could be the guy who hedges his bets. So file the I-140 EB3 downgrade now and wait.
Yeah.
Because let's assume in 4 months. 4
months, yeah.
Yeah.
If the I-140s take 5 to 8 months to process.
Doing the math, so if we say that it's moving about 6 to 7 months per visa bulletin, so we are now January 2013. Every visa bulletin is moving half a year, more than half a year. Okay, 4 more visa bulletins. That priority date may become current now, and that's conservatively. Other people say it's going to be current. The whole thing's going to be current on October 1st or September. So it's moving very quickly, EB3. There's no question about it. It's moving very fast. So, yeah, you can definitely file an I-140 in the EB3 category, and because it takes 6 or 7 months to approve, and give it 3 or 4 months, because they're going to have to match that labor certification, the old labor certification on file, with your case. They usually do that by making a request to the U.S. Department of Labor for a copy of it, or they can go back and look in their old files. That takes 2 to 3 months. At that time, you're ready to upgrade to premium. And if you're current, you upgrade to premium, file an adjustment status, your case is ready. And also, the file is fresh. Your medicals are fresh. You're current. Boom.
Yeah, you have the processing time on the adjustment, but you know, the other half of that question is get ready with the I-45 application.
I wouldn't get ready today. I would wait until I see myself about 6 months to 8 months away from that 2015.
Secret option though is get your think about your documents. I mean, big challenges for people. Birth certificates. That's really it. Make sure your birth certificate has your full name, parents' names, date of birth, place of birth, and the secret problem is not a secret problem, but it is the registration date should be reasonably close to your date of birth, and if it's not, you know, best practice is to obtain some affidavits or some other secondary evidence that would historically show your birth.
The biggest difference is obviously there's no financial documents that we have to submit. The documentation for the forms that we have to submit with that thick on every application, that's gone now.
Yeah, thanks to some nice people suing the government. A form I-944, the reason why attorneys like us back in last October requested, you know, your credit report, tax returns, so much silly stuff. They got rid of that rule and they knocked about 20 pages out of the I-45 package and about, you know, as Sam said, about that much worth of documentation.
Yeah, so that's going to be
a little bit easier, I guess.
What was a nightmare. So yes, absolutely. So not yet, but close. Yes, but get the I-140 filed now. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who is in the 2015, 2016, 2017 priority date in the EB2 category, if the prediction, and I'm not making that prediction, but I'm reading it, other people are making this prediction. If that prediction that it's EB3 is going to be current this year, get your I-140 right now filed and be ready for it, because you filed the adjustment status and it's fresh and ready. Hopefully that you'll be lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth mentioning that USCIS is perfectly happy to accept, you know, there's no problem having multiple I-140s based upon your current labor certification. That's how these downgrades happen. They're happy to take them.
Yep.
You tell them they get another processing filing fee, and they get to approve a case. Sure. Keep on. Going to move down from the list here.
And would you do interfiling in his case, or you do another adjustment?
Okay, I got to think about that.
So we're going to hold that for Kartik. We're going to talk about it. Just so he's a 2015. Oh, maybe he's never filed.
He's never filed.
Yeah. So he's fine. Yeah. There's not issue.
Kartik, hello. Should I wait for the medical RFE, or can I get it and submit it? Well, we've kind of touched upon this. It is a gamble. It is a roll of the dice. Depends on what side of the bed you woke up in this morning, or the sun and the moon and stars in the sky, and how lucky you are.
Yes. All right. Excellent. So, are there any more?
Oh yeah,
questions?
there's a scroll bar. We got plenty.
Oh my goodness. All right. So let's try to get to everybody here. How, if you had to make an educated guess on FAD for August and September bulletin dates, what would it be?
Final action date. Well,
educated guess? Well, the answer is there's no educated guess. The only educated guess that can be given is by Charles Oppenheim. He is doing this monthly briefings about predicting the priority date.
Well, who is he, Sam?
He's the guy that calculates the priority date every year. He's been with the State Department for 20 years, and they've decided to give us monthly updates on predictions. And he's really a straight shooter. I mean, he just talks. Yeah, and if you listen to him, he knows he has a lot of visas available.
Yeah.
His biggest fear, it seems to me, is he's worried about if you move the EB2 for India forward too quick, is going to take away all the visa available for all other countries and create a backlog, because he's required by law to make visas available for all other countries, and then the excess goes to countries with the most backed up priority date, which is India EB2. So he is going to inch it slowly because he's worried about that forward movement. But we've digressed. So I cannot make a prediction honestly, going forward. I mean,
Well,
you can go on the website and predict.
I mean, you saw that you ran the math and the data going backwards, though, as you know, it was 6 months.
The last 5 months, EB2 has moved 4 months per visa bulletin. That's a fact. I've personally done the calculation. It's not difficult to do. And I think a little bit less than 7 months, 6.7, I think, 6.7 months per visa bulletin for the EB3 for India. So that's a straight line prediction. It was not a straight line. It was like,
yeah,
it was like,
well,
some months.
On our paper here, EB3 this month for July moved 1 year, 2 months.
Yes.
Huge. But
yes. So, yeah. That's the best prediction I can make.
Ask me when you're not near a computer, middle of July, and I'll sound really smart when I look at the Visa Bulletin and when it comes out.
All right.
So
that's an excellent question. How long for the I-40 to go sale? Really, that's an excellent question. I would say 4 months and beyond. I start saying that I might get an RFE, maybe 5 months. For sure, if you cross 6 months, you might get an RFE.
Yeah.
For sure, they want to get the confirmation of the employment letter. I mean, 3-4 months, they need that new letter.
Well, this is what we talked about last week. Is that stream up on the Facebook and YouTube?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's really I mean, I kind of read that as is there any way to avoid it? And that's what we talked about last week. Quick touch on send in your supplement, Jay. File your AR11. You can take a risk on the medicals if that's your sort of personality, and ultimately you can't really control what the government does. You just have to roll with the punches. But RFEs aren't a problem. What do we say about getting an RFE when your adjustment's been pending for a while?
Good news.
They're looking at your case.
Yeah. Good news. It's a good news, but to answer the question, once 3 or 4 months pass, they want to confirm that you're still employed, and that's really. And then now they issue an RFE.
Yeah, I mean, typically, if they want to bring you in for an interview, they'll ask you about these things during an interview, make sure. But if they're not going to bring you in for an interview, they need to know somehow.
So ultimately, the theory that the State Department came out with, which is 2 charts, which is the filing date, dates for filing, and final action dates, was the idea to avoid that. But the USCIS completely was not prepared to go on board with this concept, and they continued their haphazard way of doing things. The idea was, we're going to give you a date where you can file the case, and by the time we're ready, we're just ready to approve it. We just check and get it approved. So that is gone out the window. People are still in chaos, don't know how long it's going to take. But we also have COVID now. But I don't think it's gonna get a little bit better, but not much. But yes, confirming employment is a big deal. So that's going to take after 3 or 4 months, you're going to get an RFE.
Can I take my medicals right now? And when the RFE is received, will they become stale as they are past 60 days?
Past 60 days.
That's what their policy says. You could try. I wouldn't want to try submitting old medical exams.
No, that's a be a second RFE.
Yeah.
One
would hope.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're not going to reject.
I don't think so either. But
well,
again, I'm a paranoid sort of guy.
I'm aware of a certain administration in the past would have rejected, but this current administration is trying to do a common sense approach.
Yeah.
So I think you wouldn't, but I wouldn't do anything. Like, why would I send the documentation that I know
it's your green card? You're only going to do it once.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question. Hello, Sam. My priority date is February 2016. Do you recommend that I should take option 2 or 3 for advanced preparation of I-45 scenario? You have to present it for a priority date after 2013.
Well, that's an excellent question. So the I-140 downgrade is definitely viable.
Yeah,
that's a viable thing to do in the current environment. I would hate to get you started with the adjustment today, but if we're looking at 4 months movement on average, maybe it will accelerate. So I would keep a close eye on it, and keeping the 4 months average per visa bulletin, we are within, let's say, one or two visa bulletin, you can just say, let's get this adjustment status, get ready, and hold it.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the fact of the matter that the I-45 forms can change. They usually give, maybe about a month and a half notice of changes to their forms. And, we got a revision in in March, and that's kind of a result of all the changes withdrawn. I can't help but think a new administration with new policies, that they could have new forms sooner or later, and it would really stink to have your perfect adjustment I-45 forms that you can't file with.
But it's not the end of the world.
No,
no. Keeping an open mind here and flexible. This is your green card. Maybe you want to get this thing started, let's say, a 1 or 2 visa bulletin based on this 4 months per visa bulletin. And let's say if the forms change, it's not going to be too expensive to just redo the forms. It's not the end of the world, but the documentation, the basic documentations are not going to change. The law is not going to change. So you get to a 85, 90%.
Yeah. Classic Brian presenting in black and white, but you're 100% right. I mean, they're not going to reinvent the wheel between form revisions. What is a USCIS form revision? It's called, they change the number on the bottom of the page. There's very little changes in them.
Yeah, so we have to update the form. It's not the end of the world, but yes, maybe a visa or two visa bulletins away, 2 months away from predicted EB3 available date for you. Yeah. But the I-140, I would file it right away.
Yeah, I mean, the big challenge, I 100% agree on the I-140. That mean judging by maybe 6 months at a time, you have,
go ahead and get it filed. I mean, it's not expensive, and it can go out quickly, and definitely a good for a 2016 EB2.
If you want to feel like you're doing
something
for yourself, you don't want to be sitting on your hands. Yeah, exactly.
It's a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, we did that one. We hit that one.
Educated guess. All right, so family immigration, my favorite topic. We're going to be doing family immigration presentation soon. And also, we're going to be doing preservation of green card. Even if you don't have a green card, starting to develop an appreciation. It's the most misunderstood topic is how to preserve my green card. Although many of you guys are well settled in the U.S. and you're going to be spending a lot of time here, but preserving the green card is something that is a big deal. And I think understanding it on a deep level is something that is badly I don't know how people don't know it.
Every once in a while, you find somebody who has a terribly misinformed version of it, and they make great clients for immigration lawyers.
Yeah. So anyways, can I file a green card for my parents once I get my green card filed? Parents of permanent residence is not a category.
No, it's not.
It is not a category, unfortunately. If possible, what would be rough time frame? You're
5 years. Well, okay, so you can get there eventually. 5 years of having a green card, you can apply for U.S. Citizenship, and then as a U.S. citizen, you're able to petition on behalf of your parents. They're classified as immediate relatives at that point, and immediate relatives means visas are immediately available for them, which means they can apply for green cards essentially as soon as the I-130 that you file for them is approved.
Yes.
So
yes. But speaking of family immigration, and since you guys are all in the adjustment status world, it's this single. Was one question we did not get to answer last time, and I want to kind of put it on the record that it's critical if you are going to get married is to get married before your adjustment status is approved, not after, even though today a spouse petition for India is current. But
don't take that for granted.
Yeah, that can shut down overnight.
Well, I mean, sooner or later, the COVID stuff is going to smooth out, and then people are going to start applying for family-based immigrant visas to the consulate.
So if you get married 5 minutes before the green card was issued, of course, I'm exaggerating, let's say 24 hours. So let's assume that the marriage document said June 21st, 2021, and then the green card approval says June 22nd, 2021. You can bring your wife as a derivative to you under something called following to join, which is a fantastic process through the consulate, and she doesn't have to wait. And also you can do a parallel marriage petition because it's current now, which one gets there first, your wife joins you, but you're guaranteed to have your wife on board. Usually a marriage spouse petition is backed up many years, by the way. But following to join is available. She's part of the process. She's your wife before the green card was issued.
The rule is your relatives that exist before, your immediate relatives that exist before you get your green card are allowed to immigrate with you. So that's your kids and your spouse.
But the marriage has to be a recognized marriage in the U.S. So no proxy marriages. Proxy marriages are not recognized. So no representative like your father can sign for you. You have to be physically present. But let's go back to this question. I'm sorry your parents cannot apply, but there are other creative ways that we can look at for family members like this. If you want to contact us, we're happy to give you a consultation. June 2016 in EB3 prior to date, and it's a good idea to switch employer now. All right, let's think this thing through. So you're, I'm not so sure about that.
Okay. So you don't have,
he's never had any. He has a labor certification, assuming labor certification I-140 filed, because you're saying EB3 approved. Now, 2016 never became current.
Correct.
Has not filed an adjustment.
No adjustment pending.
No adjustment
we're
pending
assuming that.
For Kishore, yeah. So with that, you're going to go to a new employer. You're going to start a permanent I-140. That's going to take a year.
Yeah.
If priority is going to be
a year, if you're really lucky, it takes about 6 months to get a labor certification approved. Yeah, I guess about a year.
Yeah.
And
file I-140 in premium processing.
I will say, this answer to this question is, how good is your relationship with what is your intent with your EB3 I-140 approvable employer? I mean, you can come back to that employer when your priority date is current.
Well,
yeah.
We can be creative, but why would you switch employer? You could be in a green card in a year.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. Things are moving like crazy fast. 7 months, every Visa Bulletin moving forward. 2016, you could be, and there's some, like I said, some crazies are predicting. Well, they're not crazy. They're smart people too. I don't want to offend anybody. They're predicting.
No doubt it's moving fast. So.
Yeah, it's moving fast. So you could be in a green card. It would be nice to file an adjustment of status, and then 180 days later, supplement J, and then you go to a new employer with your I-485. It's a lot better, and never have to file a perm labor certification I-140 and make lawyers rich, right? With more money spent on immigration process with the I-485 and supplement J, and an EAD. It's wonderful opportunities you have after that. So I would hold my horses.
Yeah.
I would not, even though I'm the risky type, this is where you want to hunker down and be patient.
Yeah.
And like your employer, bring him flowers every day. All right.
Okay.
Received an RFE for medicals a couple months back, and now my priority is current. Have not received EAD yet. What's the next step now, and what are the expected timelines? Well, received an RFE for medicals. I'll be curious to see why you got the RFE for medicals. I'm hoping that these RFE for medicals are for simple cosmetic paperwork. So there's not an excludable communicable disease that the person may have. Most likely not, I'm assuming, because if there's an RFE for medicals, that needs to be overcome by missing vaccination or other issues, medical issues, that needs to be overcome. And some of them are complicated.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't really come up a whole lot in conversations about medical exams is, when the attorneys get those medical exams, they're sealed. We don't know what's in them. And if something serious comes up, again, there's possible medical grounds for not being able to immigrate to the United States. And that's something you have to think about. If the doctor says, blah, 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 might be, just anything interesting comes up, it's really something you have to think about.
What's the next step now? What are the expected time? Obviously, okay, let's assume that the medicals RFE was cosmetic, signature missing, a date missing.
I think that might be just hey, we want some medical exams from you. You filed without medical exams.
Or maybe no, So maybe you did not file. So that's great. So you have a medical RFE, that means they're ready for you. Yeah. So that's the other interpretation.
Yeah.
That's good news. And I'm assuming that you replied to this RFE with updating medicals and updated employment records and whatever other questions they may have to update their information. The next thing is for that officer to get to that file, open it, review it, check everything is okay, and walk into this other computer system that they have, and then click, take a number, and then walk in and just get it approved, hand it to a supervisor for review. The supervisor approves it, and you will get a welcome to the United States letter.
I got a comment on the have not received EAD yet. It
Who
stinks. Yeah, you can just leapfrog the entire. You don't need to get an EAD. You'll get if they approve your green card, you get a green card. That's better than EAD.
Yep.
Yeah.
That has an EAD built into it.
Yes, sir.
And more.
Oh, this guy! I envy this fella.
Well, but he did not get an adjustment status. So he did not get an interview waiver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still not received a notice in the mail on May 24th, 2021. That passed.
Oh no! It's basically they issue it like if you track the case online, they'll show, hey, we're ready to schedule an interview.
Okay, so the interview is now on May 24th. The interview.
So I guess that's got to be COVID slowness.
Yeah.
I mean, they're ready to call you in for an interview, but
yeah, get ready. I would always recommend contacting your attorney and say, how much will you charge me to review the file for completeness, so there are no surprises, and do a phone call preparation for me. What to expect.
That's one of my favorite conversations, people, is what to expect during the adjustment of status interview. Because
once you give them the 5-minute tour, the 5-second tour.
The 5-second tour.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they'll call you back to an office. They'll probably bring you and your entire family for an employment-based one, is my experience. And they will swear you in. They'll probably have a camera. Nobody can see our setup here, Sam, but we have a camera. They'll have a camera on you. They'll record it. They'll swear you in that everything you say is going to be true and accurate. And this is the part which nobody expects, but this is how it goes. They will take out their copy of your I-45 application, and they will essentially go through all the answers to your questions. What is your name? What is your date of birth?
What's your Social Security number?
Social Security number? What's your parents' names? And literally, I've had officers literally sit down and go through every question on the form. Were you a Nazi in the 1940s? Okay, nobody asks that one anymore, but it's still on the forms. And they really, we've talked about this before. The adjustment of status is about you personally. They're asking you about the things that appear on your I-45 application.
And it's very simple.
Yeah.
They want the employment letter. They want to look at it, get an updated employment letter, get paycheck stubs, updated paycheck stubs showing you're employed with the same employer. Make sure that your attorney will help you with those issues. Look at the file. There are no surprises, and then life goes on. All right, sounds good. So I don't want to 7:01, and I don't want to overlook too many people here. So we're going to run through. We're going to go over 7 o'clock, and we're going to run through those questions. Before an RFE, what are the chances of getting? Okay, so I think we answered
kind of hit
that
that pretty hard. Yeah.
Can my spouse start working? I think we answered that one, right?
Well, your spouse start working on I-45 EAD while I-140 in process. Yeah. You'll just you abandon your non-immigrant status.
Which is not a big deal.
Yeah.
He or she may be on H4, which is not a problem.
Yeah.
EB2 2012 priority date.
That's a good one.
Working on the same employer. Wonderful. We have filed EB3 I140 downgrade and I-45 in October, as many have done. My child is 17. Boom. Well, my child age freezes based on the current FAD.
Gotta have that approval, as I recall, right?
Shall I go to EB3 I140 premium? What I would ask you to do is have an attorney chart a Child Status Protection Act chart for you. It's a spreadsheet that has all the key dates and all the key elements to 100% be sure. Now, your child is 17, which is way far away from 21, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And then you have to add on that is the I-140 processing time.
Yeah.
Now, the EB3 processing time, you have to forget about the EB2 processing time because that's no longer applicable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we filed the application in October, we filed under filing date, not final action dates.
Yeah.
Now, 2012, I'm looking here, he still did not hit the final action date. Right now, it's June 1st, 2011 is the final action date.
Hasn't hit
so your child would continue to be aging out right now, but for the I-140 that's pending, because the I-140 that's pending is freezing the child's age.
Well, I-140
right now.
has to be approved.
So the I-140 has not been approved.
Yeah.
That's why you're getting every day the I-140 is not approved.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you're getting a 1-day credit on your child age. Who's 17? You get plenty of time. Yeah. You upgrade to premium processing. You close that down. Okay, so I wouldn't do it yet. I think you're close, to be honest with you. I would not upgrade to premium
Yeah,
processing.
I mean,
yet.
it would lock the date, but
But you got plenty of time.
$2,500 is also a lot of money too. And it's not like
Well, I'm worried about the child. I think the child is
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, what happens 4 or 5 months, 6 months from now? I would just wait until you know that you're very close to getting that green card. You're not there yet. You're very close.
that's true. Yeah, 6
yeah.
months, 12, Yeah.
So I wouldn't do it yet.
Yes.
Yeah. G28 follow-up company, follow-up. Company immigration says G28 not needed as my company lawyer filed not outside attorney. Is it true, or do they need to file a G28? That's a good question. A G28 is not needed if there's a place in the company where RFEs can go to and it could be collected and replied to, because it's going to go to the company. Because the attorney is in-house counsel, is coming in to the office. When they see immigration paper, they send it to him. But if there's no in-house counsel 6 months from now, and there's no system, and there's no attorney, then there's
I read that question totally differently, whether a G28 is required because there's an attorney filing it. And
is it true, or do they need to file a G28?
Yeah. And to that I said, well, ultimately it is the company filing the case, and the employee can, the attorney who works in the company can, I suppose, sign on behalf of the
Who can file a G28? An officer of the company, or an in-house counsel, or an outside counsel? So they're saying I don't need G28 because the company really is filing it.
Yeah, that's the way I was kind of interpreting.
Legally, no. It's nice to have a G28.
I'm not in-house counsel, but why the heck wouldn't I not want another copy of the notice to go to me, even in the same office?
Yeah, legally correct.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. If you need to make an educated guess, we've done that. This educated is coming back to
couple of these
I got my EAD January 1st, for 1 year after applying for EB2 to EB3 downgrade. USCIS has announced they will be providing 2 years for initial renewal EAD card. So should I apply for renewal? Yes. Obviously, I think the switch to 2 years is not applicable to you. Obviously, your EAD is approved.
Yeah. I mean, if you have any doubt that your green card is not going to be here and you need that EAD, apply for renewal.
Yes, absolutely. When that EAD card date expires, I don't care what USCIS announces, that EAD card expires.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be left without an EAD. I don't care. Until the green card's in your hand, it's not in your hand.
Are green card interview related to employment-based categories still happening, or are they waived? They're not categorically waived. But a lot of them are.
I just talked to somebody who was interviewed middle of May. Perfectly nice guy, normal case, no problems. But it is what it is.
Yep. My priority date is February 2014. Okay. I'm assuming EB2. My I140 downgrade is pending. Okay, so that answered the question. I have filed 45 in October. Should I convert my I140 in premium processing? No Child Status Protection Act concerns. You're too far away, but it's moving fast. But there's no harm in upgrading to premium processing if you don't have any children.
Your I-140 needs to be approved in order for them to approve your adjustment. There you go.
But there are certain company policies. Sometimes they were not willing to upgrade to premium processing. They're concerned about somebody upgrading to premium processing gets approved and then they leave immediately. So that is some of the issues that you deal with. Certain company policies dealing with employee retention. So we're not addressing that. We're not faulting that.
Yeah, ultimately,
but we're answering the legal question.
They'll get to your I-140 eventually at USCIS.
Yes. All right. If it takes my medical, if I take my medical right now and an RFU received after 3 months, will my medical become stale? Yes.
Yeah, 60 days. I think that's just
Hi, Venkat. I know, probably he hit send too early. All right.
EB2 with priority date July 27. Ooh, that one's real good.
All right.
Is that current right now? So close.
Yeah. June 1st, 2011, I think, is the current date.
Yeah.
So he is July. So you're and it's moving 4 months on average, right?
Well, this person filed downgrade. I presume that's the downgrade to EB3 in October 2020. Still waiting for the EAD. Just filing premium processing gives more weight to my EB3 I-45 than waiting for EB2 to reach July 2011. Well,
dilemma.
This is a fun one.
Dilemma, right?
This is such a great scenario too.
It is a good scenario, not for him. He's frustrated.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because
you have too many options.
Well, it's get too many options. Like, I filed, I paid the money, and now they're switching on me. This is nuts. This is so ridiculous. So yes, premium processing upgrade is probably a good idea right now. I'm in the minority, would file for another adjustment. But
I don't know if I like that. I mean,
what did he do? Did he do a I140 downgrade and a new I485 in the EB3 category? Now his EB2 becomes current, but his EB2 I140. I mean, why would you not file another?
When you talk about interfiling, you got to talk
interfiling is zigzag. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with interfiling here. EB2 is going to become current, and you don't have to. I mean, if you interfile into the EB2 category, well, the question is, how long does that interfiling process take? A great big question mark. You have no clue.
But how wonderful it is to get a non-stale I-485 in USCIS's hand when the visa is available.
Yeah.
All the information is updated and is right there,
Yeah.
It's a difficult question.
$1,225 for an adjustment is cheaper than $2,500 for premium processing.
Yeah. So it all depends if you are a conservative. If money is important, do an interfiling and save the money.
You can also just do nothing. I mean, they will eventually get to your EB3 I140 that's pending, and based upon that priority date, it's well beyond final action date right now for July. There's no wrong decision. They do eventually get to your cases. They can't just choose to never process it.
You want the fastest potential speed, file another adjustment status.
Yeah.
If you want to sit back and let it evolve and save yourself money, especially if you have a bunch of kids, it's a big expense.
Yeah, that's true.
Sit back and let it and watch it, right? You could also file 485 for you. Do you have to file for your family? You do. Or if I remember, otherwise you have to do following to join, which is a pain.
Yeah.
Well, they're here in the U.S. You'll just file another adjustment,
but
it's a pain. Yes. Yeah. So wait and watch. I mean, you have to make it. You might want to contact an attorney. Let's open the file. Let's look at the dates and see if we can give you.
I think there's that's one of the people. There's no wrong decision to make.
Yes. It's just getting the green card faster. How can I get the green card faster? How do I know? Nobody knows.
Yeah, and when the dates are so close, I mean, that's when it becomes really hardest to make a device.
But you're right. Do nothing. Do nothing could be what.
They'll get you. I mean, they're required to prove cases. They can't just never approve your EB3 case too.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I have filed my I-485. Do we need to employ it? To be employed if my date has become current? And when waiting for green card or a green card interview, 100%, right? Yeah,
you have to have, if you take advantage of this scenario sort of assumes that maybe you've changed employers, filed supplement J, taking advantage of that interim EAD you get with your adjustment.
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody willing to offer you permanent, indefinite employment in the United States. Yes. That's what supplement J is for. You're allowed to change employers. Talk to an attorney about that. I'd recommend.
Yeah.
But
712. We'll take 2 more and call it out for the day because there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, we're pretty almost caught up to the questions here.
No, we're not.
Okay. Well,
let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
All right. So we have filed I-485 in the last October 20 in EB2 to EB3 downgrade. Priority date is 2014. My EB3 downgrade not approved yet. What do I need to do to get it approved? If you rewind the video at the beginning, we've given you the 4 scenarios, the possible scenarios on what to do. So right now, obviously, you're 2014. You're committed to this EB3 approach because EB2 is not available yet, right? It may become available in a few months, but right now it's not available. So premium processing upgrade, do nothing.
Yeah.
Are the 2 options.
Yeah. Time.
And if you premium processing upgrade, you got to look at the Child Status Protection Act, see if that's affecting you.
Yeah. And, I mean, if they approved your I-140 EB2, odds are your I-140 EB3 looks a lot like it.
Yep.
They're probably going to approve it.
Yeah. So I am very sorry for those I did not answer, but we are going to do this every week and bring your questions, even though an unrelated topic. we will answer those questions.
I like a nice surprise question.
Yeah, I would like, yes. So why EB3 dates are moving fast despite huge EB3 downgrade in October of December 2020?
This guy thinks like me. I see everybody jumped in the EB3 category, and my first thought is, well, everybody's jumping out of EB2 into EB3. Shouldn't EB2 be speeding up more? Yeah, EB3 is just moving at turbo speed.
Because I think they don't. So that was asked to Charles Oppenheim, and are you not worried about the conversions?
Yeah.
Are you not worried about those? That there's a lot of people that did that, and he said no, that he's not. He's still more worried about the EB2s. He may not be aware of the sheer numbers, number of cases that transferred from EB2 to EB3.
Well, I mean, he's got to be aware of it. He's got to get that data from USCIS.
Well, good luck. It took him 4 months.
I tried calling USCIS before.
4 months to give you a receipt notice.
Do you think they make him go through the same phone system I have to call?
Probably even slower one. They're moving these priority dates, and they're looking at numbers. There could be a situation where they're going to stop, but I think there's just so much visas. For some reason, he's very worried about moving EB2s. He's not as much worried about moving EB3s.
He has access to the data, and he's the man who knows. We must trust him. There must be a reason to worry. Yeah. We shall trust him.
Yes. So I'm taking one more, and we're done.
Okay. You know, we've made through pretty much everybody who asked us a question within the hour, and I'd say that's a pretty darn good result.
Yes, almost everybody. And then I see people here like came in asked, what are the chances of my priority 2020 getting current in the next fiscal year 2022? So I'm assuming priority EB2. It's very difficult to answer.
I mean, okay.
June 2011.
You're assuming EB2. I mean, I'm not going to say EB3. You are about a little bit less than 2 years off of EB3, and what we're seeing with EB3, you know.
But I think things are going to get back to normal here in the next few months. Well, but you know, the world has not vaccinated.
Yeah, I know.
We've vaccinated here in the U.S. Half of us, half the country. The world may still be in a 2-year recovery, and embassies may be closed for a longer time.
Embassies are closed. The European Schengen area is still on a travel ban to the United States. India is, I'm sure, a lot of
shambles. Yeah. And so, it could be moving a lot quicker. We are in different times, so it's possible, but it's really impossible to predict because it is dependent on COVID.
Unless you're Charles Oppenheim.
Yeah, exactly, right. But we will keep an eye, and we will update you on anything we know. We will keep this fresh and updated all the time. Last one, and we're done for the day. With EB3 downgrade fine, I think that's part of the prior question. All right, so I promise one more question. We're taking that one, and we're done.
It's fun, Sam.
Hello, Sam. I have recently changed my employer, but previous employer can file my I-45 even if I'm working with a new employer. It's a good question. The answer is, if there is a bona fide offer of future permanent employment. Bona fide offer of future permanent employment. You have to have that. The answer would be yes. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope this was helpful. And next week, we're going to talk about preservation of green card and maybe answer more questions or any other topic. Send us an email with any suggestion, and we're going to take all your suggestions. Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye.